We think we gave it our best effort to bring him back. I just wish it had a happier ending.
Adam evidently was too good for this world. He was much greater than this world.
From being abducted to having his head in the drainage canal alongside the highway, this is the mysterious disappearance of Adam Walsh. On the contrary, there was a great deal of conjecture in an effort to identify the monster responsible for this heinous act. Are they going to succeed? Or is it going to be just another crime that gets away with it? Keep watching till the end to find out what happens. Let's get right into this heart-drenching story. Adam John Walsh was an American child born on November 14, 1974, who resided in Hollywood, Florida, with his mother Reeve Walsh and father John Walsh. Adam was a charming and really admirable little child. He was a little boy, around 6 years old, and he had a fascination with baseball. For John and his wife Reeve, the month of July turned into their worst nightmare. How did this come about, and what took place? Before we can answer these questions, subscribe to our channel, Unsolved Files, where we bring you exciting criminal cases. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video for more updates. Adam's disappearance. In the afternoon on July 27, 1981, Adam and his mother, Reve Drew, went shopping at the Hollywood Mall, then known as Hollywood Hills Plaza. This mall might be found in Hollywood, Florida. They went to Sears and entered through the north door. At a kiosk, where many other boys were taking turns playing Atari 2600 video games, Reve let Adam down. Reve went to inquire about a lamp that was being sold. At around 12:15 p.m., Reve finished what she had been doing in the lamp section. Regretfully, upon her return, she discovered that Adam and the other lads had vanished. A security guard requested that the lads leave the store, and a store manager told her that there had been a fight over who got to turn it in at the kiosk. The security guy asked the elder boys if their parents were there, and they responded no. The security guard assumed Adam was with the other boys and forced him to exit by the same door that the boys had used to enter Sears West, based on Adam's parents' later speculation that their son had been too shy to talk to him. But according to his parents, he was left outside the store alone himself at an exit he wasn't acquainted with after the other boys left. When Reve couldn't find Adam in the toy section, she paged him via the public address system and kept searching the whole shop. She happened to meet her mother-in-law, Jean, who assisted her in her hunt for him. When they were unable to find Adam after more than 90 minutes of looking and paging, Reve phoned the Hollywood police at 1:55 p.m. On August 10th, investigator Ralph E. Latimer Jr. and an unnamed deputy of the Indian River County Sheriff's Office discovered a decapitated head in a drainage ditch beside the Florida Turnpike near Vero Beach, approximately 130 miles, say 210 kilometers from Hollywood. Divers from St. Lucie County and Indian River County examined the waterway. John and Reve made an appearance on national television early on August 11th, expressing their continued faith that Adam was still alive.
And we haven't found the body, so everybody thinks he's alive. We do too.
Adam's safe return was promised with a $100,000 reward. The found remains were soon recognized as Adam's. Asphyxiation was ruled by the coroner to be the cause of Adam's death. Adam seems to have passed only a few days before to the head's discovery based on the condition of his remains. His remaining corpse was never found. Until the case was closed in 2008, the head itself would remain in the morgue. The investigation. John and Reve were aware that the Hollywood Police Department handled Adam's disappearance improperly, both in the first missing person and subsequent murder investigations. Adam Walsh's father, John Walsh, used his son's death as motivation to launch a campaign to raise awareness of unsolved murders on his television show, America's Most Wanted. Walsh passed away. We are familiar with this narrative, yet it might not be quite as it looks. Author of true crime stories Arthur J. Harris has been following the Adam Walsh case practically from the beginning. He was the first to question the official statements made by the police, arguing that Jeffrey Dahmer, rather than Toole, was more likely to have committed the crime, in addition to a police report indicating that the notorious murderer lived and worked about 20 minutes from the Hollywood Mall where Adam was abducted. Harris's evidence also included 7 witnesses who observed Dahmer in the mall around the time of the abduction. It's possible that you will also conclude that the cops have the wrong man in mind if you follow Harris's work with ABC and the Miami Herald. However, Harris's inquiry and narrative don't end there. In The Unsolved Murder of Adam Walsh, Harris speculates that Adam Walsh might not have been murdered after all. This idea has grown into a 2-book series. Police conducted a thorough investigation before coming to the conclusion that Adam had been told to leave Sears by a security officer. and had been kidnapped by a vagabond called Otis Toole, close to the front door. The verdict. Toole claimed to have used toys and sweets to get Adam into his white 1971 Cadillac sedan DeVille, which was missing its right bumper. He then drove north on Interstate 95, heading for his Jacksonville, Florida home. At initially submissive and obedient, Toole claims that Adam started to get anxious as they continued to drive. He was hit in the face by Toole, but this only made things worse, so he walloped him unconscious. Toole proceeded north on the Florida Turnpike to an abandoned service road in northwest St. Lucie County, just north of the Raidbaugh Road overpass, while Adam was still unconscious. Sadly, Toole killed Adam by strangling him with a seatbelt, dragging him out of the vehicle, and beheading him with a machete as soon as he saw he was still living. Oh my, he was quite the monster. When Toole got back to Jacksonville, he also said that he burned the remains in an old refrigerator. Although he stated that he wished to adopt Adam as his son, it was not thought to be possible. The blood found in Toole's automobile did not have a known source. Ultimately, the machete that was allegedly used to decapitate Adam, the blood-stained carpet from the car, and the automobile itself were taken by the police. Toole, who was close to the convicted serial murderer Henry Lee Lucas, made numerous admissions of involvement, which he later withdrew. Toole gave details of the crime that seemed to be true, but he was never prosecuted in Adam's case. In the 2019 Netflix miniseries The Confession Killer, there is film showing him ostensibly receiving information from interrogators and subsequently confessing to other cases in which he had no involvement. He was also in the Hollywood region in the days preceding Adam's disappearance. According to many witnesses, Toole, 49, passed away from cirrhosis in jail in September 1996 while serving a life sentence for additional offenses. John Walsh was later informed by his niece that he confessed to Adam's murder on his deathbed. Given that he and Lucas had admitted to or implicated themselves in over 200 killings, his confession was seen as untrustworthy. Later on, it was discovered that the majority of Lucas's admissions were fabrications obtained under coercion by the Texas Rangers. Stone pointed out that Toole and Lucas were well known for admitting to crimes they had done before later retracting them. Jeffrey Dahmer, who was apprehended in Wisconsin in 1991, after killing over a dozen men and boys, was also mentioned as a suspect in Adam's murder in 2007, based on accusations that received extensive media coverage. Not long after his son's arrest, Dahmer's father claimed to have contacted the America's Most Wanted hotline, stating that he thought his son was a pedophile. In the time of Walsh's murder, Dahmer was residing in Miami Beach. 2 eyewitnesses identified him as being in the mall on the day Adam was kidnapped. One witness claimed to have observed a strange man enter the toy area. The other claimed to have witnessed a young blonde man with a prominent chin throwing a struggling toddler into a blue vehicle and speeding away. When images of Dahmer were revealed in the press following his capture, both witnesses recognized the guy they had seen as Dahmer. According to reports, Dahmer worked for a delivery firm that had a blue vehicle at the time. He preyed on young men and boys, the youngest of whom was 8 years Adam's junior, and his method of operation involved cutting his victims' heads. When asked about Adam Walsh in 1992, Dahmer denied his involvement in the crime, saying, "I've told you everything, how I killed them, how I cooked them, who I ate. How could I not tell you if I had done it to someone else?" However, it has been alleged that Dahmer felt that if he confessed to Walsh's murder, he would be executed in jail as a pedophile. Following the spread of this myth, John Walsh declared that he had seen no evidence tying Adam's kidnapping and murder to those done by Dahmer. On December 16, 2008, Hollywood Police Chief Chad Wagner announced that the investigation had been concluded in the presence of his buddy John. An external assessment of the case had been done, and police declared that Toole was the murderer.
That Otis Toole was the perpetrator of this crime. With the acknowledgement that our investigation placed Otis Toole in Hollywood, Florida, at or near the time of Adam's abduction, along with the multiple confessions.
Ultimately, John Walsh was sympathetic to parents who are experiencing the same thing he did, but they are not receiving justice, which is how the Elizabeth case came about. Now, how is Adam's case connected to Elizabeth's case? Are you curious to find out? Let's see. The case of Elizabeth. She recalled being startled one night in her home by a knife that was threatening to sever her neck. She opened her eyes to see a shadowy figure looming over her, and she was told to get up and follow them. She was told not to make any noise, since there may be really bad things that happened. Before she passed out, Elizabeth remembered that her younger sister, Mary Catherine, had gone to the room to tell their father, Lois, that she had vanished. With little delay, Lois sprang into action, scouring every room for signs of his first daughter, Elizabeth. However, It soon became evident to Lois that Elizabeth had gone missing. Lois walked downstairs, and this grew much more severe. His eyesight was beyond his wildest dreams as he downed the stairs and turned on the kitchen lights. The screen had been cut, as Lois discovered. That is exactly what happened when Lois shouted at everyone to dial 911. A worrying issue that gives every parent pause is certainly being updated. Nevertheless, Elizabeth Smart, 14, was reported missing by Salt Lake City officials in the middle of the night after being taken from her bedroom. Father of Elizabeth presented the case to the police. The case was almost certainly closed, but Elizabeth's father wasn't happy with the police investigation. According to Lois, the police have warned them not to meddle and to respect their procedure. Still, they should have the authority to act if the police are unable to control the situation. There was a palpable sense of unease about the case at this stage, which was shared by several seasoned murder detectives. That's right. There is still a great deal of mystery around the Elizabeth Smart case. Police in Salt Lake City thought the worst, and that she may have died tragically in the desert, when after 8 months, the FBI was prepared to drop the case.
After 8 months, FBI was ready to close down the case. Salt Lake City police, they believe that she was probably dead in the desert.
As they searched for proof, the police were shifting from looking for a live person. According to Lois, Elizabeth's father, his daughter is still alive, taking Adam Walsh's father as his lone chance, and the one who can do the impossibly difficult task. He now presents the case to John Walsh. Elizabeth has to be rescued since she is a victim and a missing kid. Let's not forget that. John was resolved to look into the situation after realizing the relationship between Elizabeth and his son Adam, who had died away. John Walsh worked to improve his skills over the years in only one area: apprehending and prosecuting criminals. John became a manhunter, hunting out evildoers with unwavering determination.
And that's how to catch these bastards and bring them back to justice. I become a manhunter. I'm out there looking for bad guys.
There is now the Elizabeth case, which needs John Walsh's help. Tom Morris, a policeman, will supply the specifics. A dearth of solid leads and incomplete information hindered their early research. It wasn't until Ed and John Walsh told Emmanuel's tale on a program that things got better. He had an extensive criminal background, including a contentious relationship with his ex-wife Debbie Mitchell, and he was obviously skilled at predatory behavior. She struggled to catch her breath when she saw his photo come on the screen. Brian David Mitchell's ex-wife contacted the America's Most Wanted hotline, characterizing him as Emmanuel, a street preacher, a scam artist, and being linked with a lady called Wanda Barcia. He had perpetrated acts of violence during their marriage, including the molestation of her stepdaughter, which had led to her current condition of suicidal anguish. A stunning revelation occurred, and an emergency call was sent, with the caller reporting seeing the subject they were looking for, Emmanuel, who was accompanied by 2 ladies.
I think I see that Emmanuel they're looking for, and he's with 2 ladies.
The dispatcher for John Walsh notified them of worried onlookers who had seen shady characters strolling down State Street. Numerous police vehicles quickly gathered at the location. John saw that while Officer Jones was speaking with the man, he was focused on the woman, and after examining her closely, he thought she looked a lot like Elizabeth Smart. Her heart was beating so hard her shirt was quivering. She looked obviously concerned. She continued to glance in the direction of the man, who declared her to be his daughter and told Officer Rasmussen not to speak to her.
I recognized her as possibly resembling Elizabeth Smart.
She was visibly shaken. Her heart was pounding so hard you could see it moving her shirt.
She kept kind of looking over towards him. He was telling Officer Rasmussen at the time, "You're not allowed to talk to her. She's my daughter. Don't talk to her."
At that point, I took her aside and said, you look a lot like Elizabeth Smart, and I think you are Elizabeth Smart. And your family is looking for you, and you need to make contact with them, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth had suffered terrible mistreatment for 9 months. She was told that she was safe, and that the experience was finished by John Walsh and the police. Her captors were still a menace, demanding that she comply with their requests under the grave fear of violence. But all she had to do was recognize that she was Elizabeth Smart. Her eyes filled with tears, and it was clear that she wanted to declare this out loud. While attempting to be loud, Ryan Mitchell was chatting off to the side. Now, most people would be wondering why Elizabeth, a 14-year-old girl, chose not to flee or run away. Just to let you know, she was abducted by this man who broke into her house during the night. He threatened her again and again, stating he would come back to hurt her mother and small sister if she tried to go. It's unfair to ask why, in these circumstances, she chose not to run. The reunion. Elizabeth wondered if the cops would accept her story, or if they would just let her go back to Mitchell and Varsity. She was plagued by terror of what they might do to her and her family. When she was asked to confirm her identification one last time, it was a crucial moment. An officer from the Sandy Police Department asked Ed Smart to come right to their place. The cops expressed their suspicion that they might have located Elizabeth as Ed Smart was led down a corridor. Emotionally spent, Ed stood there and stared at the girl in front of him, his eyes filled with tears, and he eventually questioned Elizabeth. "Is it you?" "Yes, Dad. It's really me," she answered, and they both started crying. Elizabeth was overjoyed when her father gave her a hug. Knowing she would never be harmed again gave her a sense of security and protection. Ed Smart expressed his appreciation and mentioned that they had finally succeeded in reuniting someone with their cherished family. Elizabeth Smart, reflecting on her experience, underlined the significance of not giving up and being strong in the face of adversity. She spoke about going on, mending, and not allowing her tormentor to have any influence over her. Elizabeth's fortitude was on display in court during Brian David Mitchell's trial in 2010. She made it plain that he no longer had the ability to frighten her. The agony of losing his own son Adam was felt by John Walsh, the presenter of America's Most Wanted, who had dedicated his life to assisting in the resolution of crimes. Police in South Florida deemed the investigation closed after more than a quarter century. He provided words of encouragement and advised the parents of missing children and crime victims to never give up hope. Do you believe John Walsh was successful in his quest? That's not all. Do you know some crimes are just despicable and really disheartening, sending shockwaves through your spine? Go check out this video on your screen, The Baby on the Beach. What are you waiting for? Go watch it now.